Alright, so here's something I just got yesterday. It's a Clubcar golf cart with a Honda 600cc 4-cylinder motorcycle engine on it. And I paid $250 for this thing. Right now I kind of think it's a ripoff, but for some of y'all think this is treasure. It's electric to start. It's got a shifter right here. The guy who had it, he said that it ran, but then he didn't like the way the electrical system was set up, which I kind of don't like the way the electrical system is set up right now. But it's kind of got a weird setup right here where this right here turns on the fuel pump or something. Turns on the radiator fan. He took the old radiator lines off and he bought some new line, which he gave it to me as well. Because the old lines kind of look like they're falling apart. He also gave me a wiring diagram that he found, which I'll hopefully be able to make sense out of. But yeah, it's water cooled. It's got 4 individual carburetors on it. I never really worked with anything like this before. That light right there doesn't do anything. Not quite sure. I think it's the alternator, but I'm not quite sure about that. I took this cover off, and I did something kind of stupid. I tried to run the starter without putting this cover back on because it has a little journal in it that holds the pin that holds the starter gear, which is driven by the starter, and then which also drives the main gear on the inside that is a kind of like a lawnmower clutch, I guess you want to say, except it's a little bit more complicated. But yeah, I don't know if I really got a good deal on it or not. It's got a pretty good sized muffler on it. It sits really low on the ground. The frame might not, but that's the clearance of the muffler. It's only about maybe an inch if you're lucky. Yeah, there's a water pump right there, the chain and sprockets, and it's got like a homemade clutch on it. Clutch spring is right there, and the clutch is right here. I just have like my ratchet holding it to kind of put it in neutral, I guess. I don't think there's a neutral on here anyway. I think it's just push clutch and you get to neutral, but yeah, it's not really the best setup ever, but I mean it works. It's usable. But yeah, it's got disc brakes, which is actually pretty neat to have. See, there's one on the back right here. Caliper. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's got front disc brakes. It doesn't have rear disc brakes. I just noticed that because there's no caliper right here, obviously. But it does have front disc brakes, which is real nice though. And they seem to be in pretty good shape. Don't look like they're worn down or anything. Paint looks okay. It might need to be repainted eventually, but that's good for me right now. It's got the back seat and the top. Which, you know, he told me that it ran fine until he shifted all the wiring, but apparently this thing does have a computer in it or something, or like a CDI module, whatever those things are called. There's one right here with a heat sink. Not quite sure what this is. I think that's the regulator, little alternator. And then this right here, there's a plug right here, and it hooks onto this computer or some type of ignition control module. I'm not quite sure. But it's got a lawnmower battery that to crank it over. I think the original golf cart battery went right there and over here. I mean, I don't know if this thing was gas or electric when it was made, but no telling about any of that. Apparently he didn't have an intake manifold. He just ran it without the air filter, which is definitely not a good thing. And when I hit the throttle seems to be working fine on all the carburetors. think there's like an automatic choke or something like that. Not quite sure. I've never worked with a motorcycle engine or anything like that, or a four-wheeler. But yeah, it doesn't have a hill brake on it, but that's not a big deal. Got a temperature gauge, ignition switch, and those other two switches. And that big button there is the start switch, or start button. The solenoid worked like 3 times and then it wouldn't work anymore. But then I found out the motor seized up, because apparently the guy who had it, he left it out in the weather, and he didn't put the seat on it, which the seat is right here. Here's the other piece at the top. He cut a hole in the center of the seat so he could put a shifter cable, or no, a shift lever on it, like this. Which I can see, I mean, it's not a bad setup the way he has that set up, but the fact that he just left it out in the rain or the weather, and it just, I guess water got in here. I can see water inside of this one. Yeah, there's water in that one. Can't really see any water in this one, but that's not good. So I took the spark plugs out and I tried to turn it over. It still won't turn over. I can't even turn over the flywheel or that magnet for the alternator. So not very good. It's a combined exhaust down there. It all just combined in one line going out. It's got a lawnmower gas tank on the back, which isn't that bad. It didn't have a fuel line. It's got an electronic fuel pump. Not even sure if it works. When I got it, the battery was dead. This is how it shifts it. Right there. And that just hooks up to this thing right here. Hooks onto the end of that. And then right here hooks on to the, has like a little bracket that holds right here and on that, and it just hangs on to that shift lever. So yeah, it's all welded up, and he said the whole rear end was from something else. But yeah, anybody knows what I can do about this thing, that'd be great. So yeah, thanks for watching.